Hi, my rays of light, and any new subscribers or any new listeners to my channel, welcome back. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and I'm going to be doing a psychic slash mediumship reading on John Singleton. Now, for those of you that are not aware of who he was and what he contributed, he was one of the first African American men in the film industry to be a film director and to have many, he had many accolades under his pocket, and was very well respected in the industry for his filmmaking and directing of, films, etc. And this is very much an accomplishment for, the masses of African Americans in the entertainment industry. He kind of paved that way. And there was people, of course, before him, but he was one of the ones that really stood out. So that's kind of like the backstory of who he was, and I'm going to be giving you some insight as to what I'm getting from him. Typically, I don't like to do these readings very closely after they've passed, like right away. Usually give it a couple of months or so, but this has been a reading that's been requested by a lot of viewers here on my channel, a lot of you rays of light out there, and I feel like I can connect to him. So I'm going to just give you the insight that I'm getting from him. First thing that he tells me is that he was not resting. So it feels like his last couple of years were very high stress filled. Of course, being a filmmaker and a director, and someone that, a producer, etc., in that kind of world that he was immersed in, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of, a lot of lack of sleep, always on the go, attending events. And I just get that he was not, not good health-wise, but in many men, it doesn't matter if you're African American or you're white or you're Asian, most men, typical men, are not going to really care about their symptoms, or they ignore them. And I know a lot of people would be tuning in and wanting to ask, was his death foul play? And I'm not getting it was foul play with John Singleton. I do get it would have been involved, it would have been the stroke, but there were factors that contributed to that. High blood pressure is known to be the silent killer, as well as, other health illnesses out there. And I do feel like he had, definitely what I'm getting from his soul is that he did have a lot of high blood pressure. This could have been tension like around his shoulders, neck area, a lot of headaches, just feeling kind of, run down, maybe a little bit lightheaded at certain times, but he definitely had a lot of high blood pressure, and this is over a period of time. And I don't know if he was diagnosed with it, but it feels almost like he just didn't really take the medicine for it, or really didn't really to put too much emphasis on it. And typically, most men, not everyone, and I don't want to sound stereotypical, don't really pay attention to that. He is telling me, and he is coming across as very secretive when it came to his work. I do feel he's telling me, and I don't know if this is going to be able to be validated by people that would be listening, but he's referring to a lot of white men, and I'm not trying to turn this into a race thing, and he's not either, but he's telling me that a lot of men in the industry that were white, that were very powerful, and also film producers and etc. There was an occasion, I don't know if they stole something from him, an idea for a film, or some of his techniques on directing or producing, etc. But there was something that they did that he was very pissed off, and has always been pissed off about it. And I feel like he still holds on to that even in the spirit realm. Has his soul transitioned yet? I do feel it's in the stages of transitioning. So he's not really earthbound, but there are stages of the soul that actually, before it gets to the other side, and they do their life review, and so he's in that process. But he is communicating with certain people, certain psychics out there in the world, and people that are not really classify themselves as psychics, but maybe everyday people that can feel his spirit or his soul So he is communicating with a lot of people out there. I do feel like there's a lot of gravitational pull from him for him to kind of stay more here on Earth right now. But I don't feel like he is right now here. I feel like he's definitely communicating from the other side, and he's not Earthbound at all. Um, he has a very important message. He wants me to tell the family that he thanks them for being brave and for making that decision to take him off of life support. So I don't know if I'm getting a female, a female. So I don't know if this was his daughter or someone that was a female within the family that made that decision. And it was a very hard decision. I think that's the hardest decision for people that would be tuning in into this reading. If you've ever had to, deal with that in your family and be the one to tell them to pull the switch or to kind of, end take them off life support. It's very hard. Or, if there's an ADR or, an ADR is a do not resuscitate, I believe. I think that's what it's called. Order. Some people just don't want to be on life support. They don't want to be resuscitated in the event that they do pass. So, I just feel like, that's what he's telling me. This is what I'm getting. There was a lot undone. He's saying there was a lot of things that he still had a lot of work that he needed to do, that he wanted to do. And this would have been other, films, other writing projects. I feel like, and I see like there would have been scripts or menus. I don't know what the verbiage is in the film world, but I see a lot of paper, and I see things that maybe ideas that he had jot down that would have been things that he would have been working or looking forward to. But he did inspire a lot of people, and he's very well respected in the world of the actors and film producers. I do feel like there are some genuine souls out there that have paid tribute to him, and he's thanking them for that, and he's thanking them for commemorating him and honoring him, and really just paying attention to who he was. He's saying that he was kind of, intimidated, not intimidated, but people were intimidated by him. They kind of saw his face and saw him, and they kind of saw that this kind of a rugged man, this man that had this rugged exterior and kind of like could strike fear in people. But he's saying that he was absolutely not intimidating in real life. Like if you got to meet him and engage in a conversation, it was fun. And he had respect for people, but he also had a lot of people that he didn't respect, and the feelings were mutual, he's saying. So he did have some enemies out there, definitely in the industry, but it's business at the end of the day when it comes in their world as business professionals. Like, he was very professional. And you reach that level of success. He's had many films that, he worked on, and etc., and actors that he worked with and actresses. So his loss is greatly felt right now, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to miss him, and that it's hard for the family most of all. I don't know how the situation was in the family, but he's telling me that things were kind of rocky between certain family members, and out of respect to the family, of course, and people that would be listening here, I can't go into details, but there were some strong themes that happened in the family, and these were things that he really didn't want to talk about, and I feel like he was blamed for not being there or not being there enough. And so there was a lot of pressure, and I do feel like there's some family members, some females in particular, that were definitely, how should I say this, are feeling guilty. They're feeling like they didn't get to say goodbye, or they didn't get to say the things that they wanted to. And I don't feel like they would have been present in the hospital. They wouldn't have been present in the facility. They wouldn't have been present at the time of his death. So there was also, he's saying there's a lot of important women that were important in his life on a romantic level. And so he was someone that kind of struggled in his love life. And I do feel like that's something that a lot of people that would be tuning in have struggled. This doesn't make him a player. This doesn't make him someone that is just, trying to go from one relationship to the other. But I do feel like he was trying to find true love, and it was just something that he found in certain women, their attractiveness. He found affection, and he yearned for something more, but I don't feel like he ever fulfilled this in this lifetime. So when he does reincarnate at some point in the future, I do feel like that's going to be a theme that's going to kind of come back and be something that he has to deal with here in the physical world. He's saying that the stroke was, I don't know if it was hemorrhagic. It feels like there's two different types of strokes that you can have. There's an ischemic, but I believe that one it can just be like a blood clot and it dissolves. And then there's the hemorrhagic stroke. And with him, I feel like it was a hemorrhagic. And for some reason, I feel like the back right hand side of my head is feeling like that would have been the side of his head or the side of his body that the stroke would have hit on. But if he's saying that if he would, his soul, he had a choice. He's saying that he had a choice when he entered in, once he had the stroke, and he could have stayed here and come back, he's saying, but he would have come back and been not the same, if you understand what I'm saying. He would have had a lot of limitations. So his soul chose to exit. And I think this is very important for the family to understand. And I think a lot of them would, and I don't know if they've spoken, but I feel like the doctors did express this, the medical team did express this to the family. In the chances that he would have survived this and would have come out of that he would have had a lot of physical problems here. When you have a stroke, for those of you that don't know or haven't had a family member that has a stroke, there is oxygen that is deprived to the part of the brain, and that part of the brain dies. And once that part of the brain dies, it affects the whole, nervous system and the motor skills and the cognitive skills, and it affects it can affect your breathing, your swallowing. There's a lot of issues that go on when a person has a stroke, and so his was definitely a massive stroke. And I do feel like there was a problem with his heart. So again, I do feel like there was cardiovascular issues that led to this. He is also telling me that he felt like he had to pull away from people, pull away from the drama, and go away. So prior to this, he had taken a trip, I believe, to Costa Rica. And I know that a lot of you out there are probably thinking, well, did he contract something that may have led to this stroke? Or was he given something that would have caused or induced a stroke? And I don't feel like that's the case. But he's telling me that he kind of, there was something between him and a female, and she would have been around his age, I want to say, and I feel like she was someone that's very opposite from him, but the way this comes across is like he was trying to be with this woman. So I don't know if he was in a relationship with someone, but it wasn't like really out in the media. But I do get that there is someone that truly is connected to him, but I feel like there were opposites completely. And but there was a friendship. There was something special there between this person and himself. And I get also that he would be he was looking at different ways to change up things. So I feel like even if he would have continued in this career, he was at the age where I don't feel like he would have worked very much longer, to be honest with you. I do feel like he was going to retire in many ways. That's what I'm getting from him within the next 5 to 6 years. And this would have been the path that he would have chosen. So either way, there would have been some massive changes in his life from this. And again, I feel like he accomplished everything he's saying that he needed to accomplish here. And he's very proud that he got to pave the way for future African Americans, future actors and actresses that are budding, and film directors and producers out there. So there was a lot of people that looked up to him as a mentor, people that came to him. And for those people, he wants to tell them that he's sorry that he's gone, but that they will find, another mentor. They will have someone out there and his soul will always be with him. So he took his work very seriously, very dedicated, but a lot of obstacles that he had to face. And his life, it was not easy. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional here in the reading. He's telling me that he heard his family talk to him. So whoever was in the room with him and was talking to him, he heard them, and he heard the discussions, and he loves them. And I feel like in this lifetime, he was that type of man that would have never said "I love you," or wouldn't have said it enough, or wouldn't have expressed it in many ways to people. Because again, he was just a manly man. He was very, businesslike and very old school. So it wasn't in his nature to be sentimental, and it was very rare that you would ever get to see glimpses of him cry. Is what I'm getting. And he keeps showing me a connection to Georgia. I don't know if he has family or people or there was some kind of special connection to Georgia, the state of Georgia, for him. And I don't know if he took trips over there or he ever visited Georgia. For some reason, I keep seeing Georgia being very connected in some way. And maybe there would have been someone out there that is connected to him, or that valued him in many, many ways and had a lot of respect for him. But yeah, this is the reading for John Singleton. He will be missed but never forgotten. He will live on in our hearts, and my heart goes out to, and my condolences go out to his family and his friends and all the actors and actresses that worked with him, or that were privileged enough to work with him at some point in their career. And anyone that just loved him for who he was. And that's how he wants to be remembered, for all of his success, but also for his genuine heart and his dedication for his work. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Big angel hugs to each and every one of you. If you'd like to set up a private psychic reading with me, you can visit my website. It's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Psychic Medium Ray. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of this video, as well as the notification bell icon on the bottom right hand side. So blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day or night wherever you are in the world.